Yo, everybody, it's Mr. Hay with your lesson for the day. In this video, I'm going to tell you about 5 things that you should know about vitamin D. Let's go.
What's up, everybody? It's Jeremy. What you are about to watch is one of my old videos from my previous channel, but I think they still have some value to them, so I thought it would be entertaining to carry them over to the new channel. I hope you enjoy it.
So the first thing that you should know, okay, so this is number 1. First thing you should know about vitamin D. According to the National Health and Nutrition Examination Survey, over 90% of the pigmented populace of the United States, so that accounts for blacks, Hispanics, and Asians, over 90% suffer from a vitamin D deficiency or insufficiency. And among the white population of the country, about 3/4 or 75%. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's an epidemic level. Now, on a global level, a study done in 2010 showed that about 1 billion or a little over 1 billion of the people, which at the time was about 1/7 of the entire world's population, had a vitamin D deficiency. But it seems to be much worse within the United States itself. Okay, so let me put some of those numbers into perspective just a little bit. So that means that just about 9 out of 10 people within the Black, Hispanic, and Asian communities could have a vitamin D deficiency or insufficiency, and about 7.5 to 8 people out of 10 for the white population of the United States could have a vitamin D deficiency or insufficiency. That's, again, that's an alarming rate, okay? But that's the first thing you should know. Okay, so let's move on to number 2. Okay, so now that we know that so many of us are at such a high risk for having this deficiency already, let's talk about what that deficiency can mean for you and I. Okay, so a vitamin D deficiency is correlated with an increased risk in things like some types of cancers, autoimmune disease, diabetes, multiple sclerosis, some infectious diseases, and, would you believe it or not, some studies are even now seeing some evidence that would link a vitamin D deficiency, particularly during very critical years of growth when a child is very young, to an increased risk in schizophrenia. So the third thing is, let's talk about some of the benefits, okay? Some of the benefits of having good vitamin D levels, okay, could be an enhancement in your immune system. We know that a lot of cells in the body have vitamin D receptors, okay? It can enhance our immune system, okay? Number 2, it can help with calcium absorption. We know that there is a strong link between vitamin D levels and how well our body absorbs calcium. Okay. Number 3, if we know that vitamin D helps our bodies absorb calcium, then we can see how there's an indirect link there to diabetes, because we know that calcium can help regulate insulin secretion in our bodies. Okay. So if we have a deficiency in calcium, then we could be suffering from a pancreas that is not working correctly. But that calcium deficiency could have come from a lack of vitamin D. So it stands to reason that when you have enough vitamin D, your body is more readily able to absorb calcium, and then more readily able to manage your blood sugar levels through how much or how little your pancreas secretes that insulin. Okay, so that's another one. Number 4, it can help protect your body against many different types of cancer. Number 5, okay, vitamin D can actually regulate proper hormone production. So think good testosterone levels, good estrogen levels, okay? So you don't want too much, you don't want too little, okay? When you are deficient in vitamin D, you could run the risk of having hormone imbalances, okay? So there's a strong link between good vitamin D levels and hormone regulation, okay? And also, one of the benefits is that it seems to enhance one's ability to learn and remember information, and even help people be able to make choices. Okay, so let's move on to number 4. We've talked about the percentage of the population within the United States that possibly has a vitamin D deficiency or insufficiency. We've talked about the benefits of having enough vitamin D, and we've also talked about the risks that come when you don't have enough. So now let's get into some of the practical application to this, okay? What we can do about this, okay? So number 4 is how much we need, okay? So according to some experts, somebody with a fair to medium skin tone should be out in the sunlight, exposed to the sunlight without sunscreen for about 10 to 15 minutes a day, per day, if possible. Now, if you live in northern regions, you're a little further away from the equator, then you definitely want to be on the higher end of that time and maybe even a little bit more, 20 to 30 minutes, okay? But if you are of a darker skin tone, okay, so that would be within one of the people groups I mentioned earlier, Blacks, Hispanics, and Asians, some experts would say that pigmented people groups, okay, so again, so that's Blacks, Hispanics, and Asians, they may need 40 minutes and up to an hour in direct sunlight without any sunscreen in order to synthesize the right amount of vitamin D. And once again, if you live in northern regions, in some of the upper states of the US, you're a little further away from the equator, then you're definitely going to want to be on the longer end of that spectrum, more towards the hour range or maybe even a little bit more. So we can see from these recommendations, okay, that our number one source for vitamin D is the sun. Now, yes, you can get it from certain oily fish and unpasteurized milk and things like that. You can get some vitamin D from there, but it's not entirely sufficient. You can't rely on your diet alone to give you enough vitamin D to have optimum levels, okay? The diet can help, but you're definitely going to get the most vitamin D from direct exposure in the sun without any sunscreen on. Okay, so I'll say that one more time. Your best chance of getting the proper amount of vitamin D is getting good exposure. Wow, this wind feels great. Is to get exposure in the sun. Wow, this wind blowing my camera down. Love it. Okay, is to get right in the sun with no sunscreen on. Okay, for again, if you are in the fair skinned or to medium skin, 10 to 15 minutes a day, if you can, possible, okay? And for those with darker skin tones, we're talking 40 minutes to an hour in order to synthesize the right amount of vitamin D. So I told you those 4 things. Now let's get to number 5. The 5th thing that you should know about vitamin D, okay? What causes the vitamin D deficiency and insufficiency? It's because of our lack of sun exposure. Okay, we live in a generation now where we spend unprecedented amounts of times inside playing games. And hey, it's not all just because we don't feel like going out. Some of us have to work, right? We work an office job. We're inside. We're on our computers a lot. Okay, our lifestyles generally just keep us inside so much more these days. So it becomes that much more important to be intentional about getting outside. So the number 1 cause is lack of sun exposure, okay? The number 2 cause, and I know this is going to be somewhat controversial, but is sunscreen, okay? There are some studies, and again, I'm going to put these studies down below so you can read this for yourself, okay? Some studies are telling us that the sunscreen that we wear can block 95 to 99% of our body's ability to synthesize that vitamin D. So think about this for a moment. You're spending most of your waking hours inside, and when the sun is out, you want to stay inside as well, right? Because maybe you're concerned about the threat of skin cancer. And I'm not saying you should just completely ignore that altogether. No, I think there's some common sense approaches we can take, okay? But think about it. You're stuck inside. You don't want to go outside even when the sun is out there. And then even if you do, you're lathering up all that sunscreen. Okay? You're blocking your body's ability to synthesize that vitamin D, which is so needs. Okay? So let's talk about some practical applications here. Okay? So what I would recommend, okay, is if you know you're going to be outside for a long time, like you know you're going to spend the whole day outside, it might be okay. It would probably be a good idea even to put on some sunscreen, okay? But even at that, okay, I would do some research into good sunscreens, because some sunscreens have more chemicals in them than you want in your body, and you're actually worse off putting those on your skin, okay? But research and find a good sunscreen, and if you know you're going to be out for a long time, sure, put some on. But if you know you're only going to be out for like maybe an hour or so, you know, I wouldn't worry about it unless you're already sunburned. Because you really need that vitamin D. You really need your body to be able to synthesize that. Absorb that sun. Don't be afraid of it. Do not be afraid of that sunshine. You should be more afraid of staying inside when it is sunny and not getting that sunshine. Here's another practical tip, okay? So when you go outside, how do you know that your body is synthesizing enough of the vitamin D? Well, a good rule of thumb, okay, is to be outside when the sun is at its highest point in the sky and your shadow is generally shorter than you. Okay, that's when the UVB rays are usually the strongest and you have the highest chances of synthesizing the right amount of vitamin D. So for me right now is prime time for it. It's 2:37, okay? And my shadow is quite short right now. And I mean, the sun is glorious. It's really high in the sky. So chances are I'm getting what I need for today. All right. But these are just some healthy tips for you to help make sure that you are getting enough vitamin D and you are keeping yourself healthy. All right, guys. Well, stay healthy, stay strong, and I'll see you in the next video. And if it's sunny outside and you haven't been out there, get outside.
Thanks for watching this video. For more information, for training and pricing options, check out jhaystrength.com.